Okay, so Denise, if you were born into a world that you are the only woman, oh man,
Difficult world.
do you think you'll end up dating a guy?
He's asking for himself.
Did you hear the Prime Minister talk about butt sex? This is your daily catch-up.
Boom.
Okay, so the National Day rally happened on 21st August, Sunday. And so we're just going to talk about like what are some of the bigger news that has been coming out of it and what are people concerned about.
All right. It's quite accurate as a trumpet.
Clearly the biggest news here
The
is...
mask one, right? Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Cost of living.
Yeah.
So, which affects us all.
Which is when everyone turned on the TV actually.
So he talked about a few things: COVID-19 recovery, geopolitics and foreign influence, economy and cost of living, Section 377A, as well as future plans for such as Terminal 5 and the conversion of Paya Lebar Air Base.
Actually very cool, the Terminal 5 stuff. Yeah.
What? Isn't
Really
the Paya
though?
Lebar one
Really
cooler?
meh?
Yeah.
No, what's cool?
The fact that because of COVID now it can operate as individual gates, so that one gate can operate without even interacting with the people of the another gate, so that if COVID happens again, all the airports can still remain running.
Wait, our airport had to close because it was a giant cesspool of
People-
COVID.
No.
I mean, people
It's
also
because
entering
international
the country.
flights were affected.
Yeah.
Then we lost many percent of flight volumes.
Right.
Hence, we don't need all terminals.
How would that sectioning then solve this problem?
A few things, so like some stuff can still continue. For example, like business traveling, you just create a little bubble for them so that they go from terminal to where they need to meet to back to terminal. This allows that, so that you only need to operate that one small gate instead of
Should I buy
operating the whole.
SIA?
You should buy sets.
Yeah, sets. Sorry.
Hey, this is not financial advice.
Whatever John Paul buys don't have a...
Also, it starts building in 2 years and then you don't know how long it will take to like finish building.
We do actually 2030.
Actually, we do. 10 years time.
Yeah.
10 years
No,
years time.
investment.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's huge. It's like Terminal 1 combined with Terminal 3.
Yeah. Obviously, that wasn't the biggest news though.
No, but when,
No, the Paya Lebar one is crazy. No, because you know, right, the whole airbase, they're going to tear it down. Then we're going to build HDB there, housing.
Yeah.
It's going to be the size of what Punggol and Sengkang combined.
Apparently, 100,000 homes, 115,000 homes.
It's massive.
That's huge.
it's huge for people living in Punggol, by the way, because
Why?
we keep hearing the warplanes.
Yes.
Now
They're
Tengah
moving
gonna
to
kena.
Tengah.
You know, Tengah means middle in Malay, but it's all the way in one end.
Do you know that Singapore used, like, that
Use what?
means Tengah was going to be the middle. It was actually the middle.
No way.
Yeah, then there's a whole part that broke off and like sank. This is really wasting time. Man.
yeah.
I'm like unbelieving him.
Don't believe him. Why you believe him?
Because it's like kind of close to the edge, you know. There's a
No, it's not.
that you can break off.
Do you know Beach Road used to be by the beach though?
Yeah.
that was that one real. Believe me, oh my god,
Yeah, believe.
Once
you
bitten,
doubt me and then you.
bitten, twice
You know,
shy.
East Coast Road, really the coast.
Fool me twice, shame on me. Okay, so the biggest news clearly is about Section 377A. Okay, stop right there. Please like, share and subscribe to support us so that we can continue talking about things like that. We love you as much as they like butt sex. Okay, back to the episode. Bing bing, love. And so for those of you who don't know, Section 377A basically criminalizes sex between men. Interestingly, they don't criminalize sex between women.
So
Yeah.
no, I thought it's
Patriarchy.
anal or something.
Sodomy.
That means even if you f the girl backside also wrong lah.
No, it's between men.
Oh really?
Between men, yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
There was a theory in the past, which I think I shared before. I'm just gonna say it again. This is a law that's inherited from the British, right?
Yes.
And there's a myth lah, more like there was this colonial officer in Singapore that the crown or people work there don't want him in this position, and so they created this law as an excuse to send him to jail, in which generations of Singaporeans have been living under
This sounds like
discrimination.
Allegedly.
This is folklore one lah.
I don't know. Like it's quite Googleable one. Yeah, on why it happened, because clearly I was interested on why only men cannot. Yeah, why Caesars can.
But then,
You grow up in life, then you realize nobody actually Caesars, and it was a letdown, such a letdown.
What?
I always call Caesar's cut Caesar sisters. for
Really,
some
man?
reason.
No,
it's impossible.
The Caesars in itself is a porn genre. It's not a thing that's done. It's the patriarchy imagining how women rubbing genitalia together.
Yeah, it's.
Well, you didn't have to spoil it for the rest of
Like logistically, it's so difficult
sian.
to actually pull off.
He's about like 10% right. So like 377A was actually intended to stop British civil servants from visiting male prostitutes. So
No,
that
no,
was-
Maybe that's the PR answer.
Yeah. But there was
Okay.
one particular person.
There's more behind it.
You mean him.
Nice.
That's a very rude way to
okay.
say refer to
Sorry.
him by saying it.
Maybe I identify as EA.
Behind day.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on it? Or like, did you okay, honestly, I did not expect this to happen this year.
The
Like, within
repeal,
year.
yeah.
Yeah, the repeal.
So I think there were a couple of things, right? Because 377A was repealed, but then also the idea of a marriage between men and women has now been included into the constitution.
Yes.
So then there's like two aspects to it. I think my initial reaction also was like, wow. And my group chats also were like going, wow, this was really, really unexpected. And then as it continued on, and then the announcement of the whole marriage thing, the constitution, then it became like, is this a good thing or a bad thing for the LGBT community?
Exactly.
Unsure.
To me, 377A was a matter of time.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
it's discriminatory to begin with.
Yeah.
As a country, if it's for both men and women, okay. But the fact that it's only for men, that's weird really. So it has to go at some point. So there's a few parts that's interesting to me. Like being part of this generation, we always thought that we are all for the equality of the LGBTQ community. You know, like why not let them get married also? Right? You know, the government always say got polls of Singapore not ready. Then we're like, well, yeah, there's all these bloody polls, nobody asked me. Then you see in the comment section when this come out, like it's really 50-50 eh.
Yeah, actually there were surveys that were done in 2022, actually this year, right? And it's actually 46% that are in support.
Yeah, no, and
Wait, as in marriage or repealing?
basically the ones that want to repeal is a minority.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I always feel like maybe you ask all the old people, because I don't know anyone that got asked before. So if you ask the old people, then they have a few years left. Why we let let them decide the law, you know? And then you assume these people are just not on social media, because basically anyone that is on social media largely agree. Until this whole thing came about, I see the poll now. Like they were not kidding about the bloody poll. That's one thing that surprised me. The other one was that because we are in this echo chamber and because I assume that this bloody poll is weird, right? Like the PAP government is not very populist to begin with, right? Be it they too comfortable or they really thinking the long term of Singapore. I would think, okay lah, this is a celebration, this is a triumphant, this is maybe drumstick and chicken, but at least this is a drumstick act like it lah. You know what I mean? When they give GST voucher, the drumstick chicken whatever. But when they give the drumstick, they act like it
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this one, they deliver as though it's bad news.
It was somber.
Yeah. And then when they went out and then they really go and address it, and then DPM Lawrence Wong was like, not under the current PM's watch, the Constitution of Family will change. Not under my watch will the Constitution of Family between men and women change. Then I feel like, wow, isn't it so surprising? This was what blew my mind, because I thought they will use this to rally for how forward-looking and future-looking. Because as much as they are doing good for the country, they still need to win the votes. To all the young people, this feels like low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's not. They were legitimately concerned that the majority gets upset.
Yeah.
Which shows how much we are in this echo chamber that we think everybody, our friends and family, all agree.
Which is why it made it more even more amazing, I guess, that they even came about repealing it. I think the other thing also, like going back to that, right, was that if you look at what opposition parties were saying, they also were quite careful about how they addressed it.
In fact, they haven't really said anything.
Yeah, because
End of filming.
because they too, right, are afraid of losing any chance of winning the elections also, which goes to show like how crazy the majority are not like us, I guess, in like supporting like the LGBT movement.
Was there anything similar to this where it was like a build up from a minority thing and a movement to it growing until it becomes like almost 50-50 and then something happened?
Women's
there was
rights
a
and
change.
slavery. Yeah.
As in, I don't know how it was, and I wish I did more research to it, but I am honestly surprised how Singapore actually has abortion legalized if the religion thing is such a massive factor in actually deciding.
And also
that.
our birth rate is so low.
Yeah.
Like it's just a bad and a bad.
I would have assumed that there was a lot of backlash back then also regarding this.
Which also kind of leads back to the 377A. Like just because this is in the law, it's not like people were not doing it, clearly. At the same time also that this was the compromise that was reached the last time they had this huge 377A debate, which was that we have it there but we will not enforce.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, but I think as with a lot of law, it's about the government's stance. So like I think PM also said in his speech that these are people that are going through like their lives as all of us are, and their private matters should not be like something that we criminalize.
Well,
I'm not quoting verbatim.
Was this the first time, like I think what was surprising for me also was the first time, it felt like the first time that PM Lee was outrightly addressing the plight that LGBT people have been going through.
Not the first time.
And okay, so if it's not, even though it's not the first time, it feels like a very, very public platform for him to actually convince the majority that
because
this
of
is the right
NDR.
thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. No, which once again back to that surprise thing, right? He's expecting backlash, and backlash not from people that are saying you're not giving us full rights.
Yeah.
The concern of backlash is the institutions of Singapore rallying against a non-pro cisgender family.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But to Dan's point from earlier, right? When I read because I was out, like I completely didn't know that Sunday was NDR.
Yeah.
I was out, right? Then after that, like I have a few friends that start texting me like happy stuff, happy stickers, you know. Then I'm like, what happened? Then after that, I realized that 377A repealed, but my news stopped there. So I didn't know about the constitution amendments and all that.
Right.
Yeah, then I was like, oh yay, like nice lah. But I mean, I wouldn't say I've been a champion for it lah.
Yeah.
So it was like a yay, okay, life goes on. But then when I read about the amendment, about the marriage thing, right, then that was when I was a bit like, oh, like taken aback. Like almost like all the joy was like gone. Which is why also like I did a poll on my own Instagram, right, asking like, is this actually a step forward overall or is it 2 steps back? Because like I'm giving you this thing which, as we have mentioned, right, sounds like it should have been removed anyway. But then by giving you that, right, I'm then saying, okay lah, now that I give you this, right, I am strengthening this whole other thing that is majority of like what the rights that we want to fight for anyway. So someone actually DM me also after I put up that post saying that like, oh, there's actually been an update, like Minister Shanmugam himself has come out to like address that like they are not fixing the definition of marriage, but he kind of like talk a bit in a circle, a bit confusing. Like he said like refer to Women's Charter, but he never say what the Women's Charter say. Yeah, then it was a bit confusing lah.
How I interpreted it, right, was that I think a bit like what PM Lee was saying is that this issue shouldn't be something that the courts decide, right? So if you look at America, for example, deciding whether abortion should be legal or not, the courts are deciding that instead of the politicians.
Yeah.
And so he's saying that in Singapore, it should be the politicians that decide because the politicians are speaking for the people. It shouldn't be a set of judges who are a little bit more removed from representing the people.
Right.
And so by making this amendment, which can also be changed in the future by the politicians in parliament, it can then be changed in the future should the perceptions of what marriage is change down the line.
Yeah, but he also said that like, in order for it to change right now, given this change, it is unconstitutional to contest this in court, like how 377A has been contested, right?
Yeah.
Which is why they're making this change as well. But then his follow-up, he added that like, so you can put it in your party manifesto, and if you get elected, then you can propose this in parliament. If it gets a simple majority, then it can pass, right? But then to me, that sounds a bit like they say that, but then DPM Lawrence Wong has said, right, Mr. Lee is not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. Then it's basically no one's going to do it lah, you know what I mean? It's a very roundabout way of saying that it's not going to change to me.
I think because they also expect it to be maybe 2 or 3 generations down the line kind of thing.
I agree. Like based on the poll that he shared also, right, a lot of the support or like on the fan sentiment also all falls under 18 to 29.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it does feel like a 2-3 generation thing.
My questioning of this is whether or not, because several times already 377A has been like, they've attempted to try to repeal it, right? Contest, yeah. You can try to contest as much as you want, but until the government fully decides that we are ready or we need to, then they will take the necessary steps to look for a solution or to act upon it lah. So whether or not this has changed, right, when it comes to the marriage situation, at the end of the day, it will still be the same decision that has to be made on the government's end for any change to happen, right? But it's just that the process will look different.
Yeah.
No, but I think at the end of the day, it's also still politics, right? They have to compromise because there are going to be a majority of Singaporeans that won't like this. And so they had to do something to safeguard that.
Yeah, but to this, I feel like it's not 2 steps back. Because of,
It shows that progress can be made or like some form of change can be made. Because I think before this, right, it was just like no one talks about it. It doesn't get addressed.
Right.
I don't think it's a form of progress at all.
Oh.
I think we are just safeguarding the future. Because the entire key reasoning, and PM gave the reasoning himself, was not really very much about gay rights. It was about it being struck down in court. Yeah, and in places like Europe, right? So there's constitution, then there's legislature, right? So constitution is like the foundations of the law, right? So you can see, like, for example, even when parliament passes laws in America, for example, right? Then there are Americans that say, oh, this is unconstitutional. Yeah, you know what I mean? Which is
Second Amendment.
It infringes our whatever the little law lah.
Right.
Say like our right to protect ourselves, you know, to bear arms or for freedom of speech and kind of stuff. And in Europe, this has been happening to the point whereby laws are being struck down that affects a domino of other laws.
Yeah.
Yeah, so once again, it goes back to how it was not used as a populist thing, and they also upfront about it. Yeah, like they say, no, it's because we don't want this law to get struck down. And once again, LGBT people, the discrimination now is not in accordance with the law already, because in the past, at least I can say it's illegal for you guys to have sex. As much as they won't enforce, I can still say it's illegal, but now I cannot.
Yeah.
And what it also shows to me is the pressures on the government that we don't see. Because I have largely been isolated from it, to the point where I thought these bloody posts were made up, or they really just ask, maybe you do your post at RC or community center where the demographic is between 45 to 75, right? Then everybody...
the post is online, which the old people can still access and do. Whoa.
Yeah, so but now you see it, you know, you see that there really is very strong pressure to protect the constitution of man-woman family.
There's actually an interesting question that one of the commenters asked in that Reddit thread, which was that, is this poll done before or after PM's announcement? Because they felt that the sentiments might change based on what the ruling party says is allowed or is not allowed, which I thought was quite interesting. So I wonder what it would be if they polled it a year from now,
In that sense, then yes, this is actually a step forward.
Yeah. Because it's like them saying that now it's okay. Then people start thinking, it's okay.
Yeah. Or I guess 1 year from now, they realize my life has not changed one bit from this law being repealed.
Yes.
I'm actually okay with it.
Yeah. But the poll that I did, 69% believe that it's 2 steps back.
Yeah.
I think I was a bit surprised also to see my thoughts being echoed. Yeah. The secondary conversation that I was having in my head, was that the church before this, so ramping up to the NDR, actually there had been a growing conversation specifically on 377A, and even the church and the Bui community coming out to speak on it. So I was already feeling a bit off, tilted, based on what the church put out, saying that yes, okay, we can respect you and let you have sex in your own private time, but then you should then respect us and what we believe a family should be. Which also it's very conflicting for me, because as a Christian, it is difficult for me to ask the question, why should the church's belief be the belief?
Yeah.
I mean, because it is my belief.
Or why should it be imposed on an entire nation?
And so the conversation there was then the separation of church and state, especially in Singapore. So the second question that I posed was is there an issue with this seemingly lack of separation? And most people felt yes, it was an issue also, 70+%.
I don't think there's a lack of separation. Is there?
The church's statement plus the Muslim community, that statement that they put out, is exactly what happened. Is what the announcement
it leaked, by the way. So the repeal of 377A has been debated for a long time, right? And of course, before they make any amendments to laws and whatnot, they will seek the religious council and they will speak to grassroots communities. And apparently it leaked, and individual churches in Singapore started organizing petitions and stuff like that. But once again, we don't see. Which is where the silent pressures are.
Which also explains why 2 weeks before National Day Rally, there was so much of these statements coming out from the church.
Even Ho Ching actually, she started posting about 377A.
In a very pro-LGBT stance.
There are already countries that have legalized gay marriage, right? Are there studies on the effects?
What's the worst case scenario of legalizing gay marriage and all its
people
privileges?
who already cannot get BTO now, even more cannot get BTO.
No, but for society, right? For the impact of society, right? So I haven't researched this much, but I have read a few articles here and there, and from my understanding is that it has already improved, I think, suicide rates in adolescents. That's one of the benefits, right? The positive effects. I'm just curious as to I don't know whether anybody else knows of it.
Do you think what is humanity's greatest fear, right? If let's say the religious council does sit down and they think about it, let's say right, I have this warped idea, right? What if religion was planted by a time future human that came back and gave us certain principles so that it doesn't lead to humans' downfall? For example, what was the concern? Is it the fact that if we legalize gay marriages, an otherwise straight person might suddenly be influenced to be gay, and then
dangerous.
Is it that? Then as a result, we cannot procreate.
What if we as straight men we try gay sex and then it's so much better than straight sex?
Yeah, we like it.
Or we are so afraid to talk to girls, but it's so easy to talk to guys. Then we end up just getting in the relationship with the guy.
And then what is the fear? Is it population?
Right.
Yeah, because in every faith that I know of, this growing the population thing is a matter of utmost importance.
It's so funny, this is such a serious thing, right? But it all stems down to sex.
No, what I thought was interesting, right, was that this is National Day rally, so it's most likely going to be played on a TV in front of families, right? And here you have PM Lee talking about sex for like a good 15 minutes.
Butt sex.
Surprise.
And it was just so interesting. Like if I was like 6 years old and watching it, I'll be so confused. Like,
Yeah, actually, if you distill, he's actually just talking about anal sex on TV for 15 minutes.
You go back home,
Good on you, sir.
Guess what I did today at work?
so in lead up to National Day rally, right, there has been a massive amount of conversation from the religious like parties about traditional family values. What does that even mean?
A man marry a
Yeah, does it
woman.
feel like it's just like that?
Like, but
A
why
nuclear
why is that important?
Okay, I found a definition of traditional family values. So, a traditional family refers to a nuclear family, a child-rearing environment composed of a breadwinning father, a homemaking mother, and their normally biological children. So, any family that deviates from this is considered non-traditional.
That sounds damn outdated.
Yes.
It was
Most
popularized in the 60s
families in Singapore
and 70s.
are not traditional then.
Yeah, because both parents work.
Low income families.
Yeah.
Okay lah, since we already already.
No, then are you also then looking down on families where like maybe someone's adopted?
Or single parents.
No lah, there's no
parent.
looking down lah. It's definition of traditional.
Yeah, and
No
what
one
are the
is
advantages,
discriminating.
right? Like you were saying. What are the
Yeah.
advantages of this?
Yeah, so if someone is saying that like you cannot raise a child properly in a non-straight family, is that also then saying you cannot raise a child properly as a single parent?
Yeah. No, so
But it is different lah, right?
we
It
take
is
for
different.
example like IMDA, right? So they've already made like if there's any portrayal of like gays, for example, not even gay sex but just a gay relationship, it's like I believe M18 or R21 on like Netflix and whatever. Why are they not doing the same if it's like a divorced family or a single family?
Yeah.
Because that's not a traditional family.
Yeah.
Like nucleus also.
Funny, like it was a wow for the first time to see like in a movie like a divorced parent and then after that then a same-sex parent like
Yeah.
being featured also. So that means now if they do this right, then in Singapore we can see
No, so they said that won't change.
or because of the marriage part lah.
Yeah.
Do you all think it's actually possible to be influenced to be gay? I think it's possible.
I think there's a growing number of people who are like bi-curious or like exploring their sexuality, which they previously would not have done.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it has made them gay.
There's
Like-
detachment. I think there can be detachment because one is a sexual act. One
Correct.
is the romance, the love, right?
orientation.
So that component, if you are really forced into an environment and you're born and you're intentionally raised to be gay, I think it's possible. But
No, not that.
it means
Like
that you normalize gay sex, you normalize like men.
what,
and
like what
men
Dan
and
mentioned, because it's easier for guys to like, especially at a younger age, right? Talk to guys. You know, so as opposed to have to pluck up the courage to talk to someone of the opposite sex.
Yeah, but
Which-
it's so different. It's a spectrum of talking to people. You can talk to people casually, but if you are pursuing somebody romantically, suddenly that changes, ma.
I do think a bulk or majority of LGBT people are born that way, but it's just
Yeah.
saying that there are people who may be influenced to maybe try it out.
Yeah, like if we remove preconditions, we are born into this world
Yeah.
where there is just no how to partner up. Literally, anybody can partner up with anybody and you'll live your life together. If it's opposite sex, great. Y'all can make baby by yourself. If not opposite sex, still cool. You can
Do what you want.
join a program, make a baby.
IVF or surrogacy.
Join a program where they mix and match for procreation lah, so that you can still fulfill your carnal instinct of reproduction and nurturing the young, right?
So like my first 10 years of school, right, I was in all boys school. And I think right, within that environment, you might end up questioning
Yeah.
because like for that 10 years, right, almost the entire 10 years of that life that I had, right, it was really all guys.
Yeah.
I don't know girl until like way later, I know. So before that, I don't know what a male-female relationship is. I only know types of male relationships. And across that spectrum, I feel like there's a possibility
Right.
that you might fall into the experimentation of.
But you
of
see,
that.
if we normalize this fully, is it experimentation? It is a thought experiment. I'm not anti-LGBTQ. It's like if there is not, is no longer called experimentation. You see,
Yeah.
because anybody could. It's really what is marriage, right? What is you're just partnering up for life. It's a group project that you're gonna do forever,
Yeah.
It's just pick one. The teacher assigned, so be it. Sometimes great, right? Or you go and find your own. Sometimes suck also, right? So like there is no experimentation in that world. Because everything is experimentation
Yeah.
already, right? Everything is equal. And I remember, there's this age where everybody goes through where, hey, you got a girlfriend, I don't like girls,
Yeah.
You say shit like that, like, disgusting,
Cooties.
kiss, Like, my best friend is this one, Like, who do you love most in this world besides your parents? my best friend Brian, for example. You know,
Yeah.
like we all had that, and same for girls like. And then at some point, if you are both open to it, then you all will try out. Then maybe your sex not good. Then there are so many couples out there with sex not good, but they just live life together because they partner up good.
That sucks though.
And then they just partner up.
Or doesn't.
And then they just live their life like that. And I feel like as much as majority might not be like that because carnal nature kicks in, I feel like it's not a 1%, 1% outlier. I feel like it's a 10-15%.
Okay, so Denise, if you were born into a world that you are the only woman, all men,
Difficult.
do you think you'll end up dating a guy?
He's asking for himself.
I think I quite believe, right, that I can convince myself into anything.
Same.
Yeah, which is almost everyone.
Yeah.
So it's possible.
It's possible, but then like
Maybe
you
the
have a chance
girl
lah.
look very feminine.
The guy look very
the
very.
guy
No lah, but the guy look very feminine. You know what I mean?
yeah, but it goes down to your body parts also. Right?
Because I just now like based on my secondary school experience and primary and secondary school experience, I'm thinking if I born into a world there's only men, I confirm end up fucking a guy.
I mean,
Yeah.
lor. What else you gonna do with your dick, right? You just
Which
just
was-
you play with it. Be like, this needs to put in somewhere. It's a tube.
Which is what happens to guys in jail lah.
It's a tube.
Right? I guess.
It's a tube.
Yeah, like straight men go to jail, right?
Yeah.
With the
That's
lack
just
of
how it
choices,
is. Yeah.
but just pick men and
Beggars can't be choosers.
And it's understood. It's
But
fine.
you are not gay.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
understood in jail, so not that I've been lah, but that we're not gay. You just gotta do what you
No,
gotta
but
do.
you see, in that reality, there is no such thing as gay.
Yeah, exactly. And if there isn't, then it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
No, so
So
how
are
do
we
you
just
know? How do you
over
realize?
labeling everything?
Like
No, because if what we say have semblance of truth,
Yeah.
then perhaps the religious council have a point, you see.
That keep it this way.
That it
I
will
mean-
create a underpopulation
no,
issue.
okay, wait. So
or like when people say
it's a
like
stretch.
gayness, you're born with it, you cannot get affected and become, you cannot, it's not like viral.
Yeah.
Right? So then this experiment shows that while it's not viral and you cannot, I be near gay people, I become gay, while it's not like that, there's a subset of people that will settle for the same gender.
Right,
not
right.
saying it's a bad thing, but it's because they didn't fully explore.
So it's not a massive stretch of us saying that if say we remove all of this, the world is just really going to be all gay.
that is
Nah, I don't think that was ever the concern. I think it was more of like
that is a stretch.
if we lose family values, then children grow up a little bit confused, and then the whole family thing, and like
No, but
males
what
and
are
females
family
pay
values?
exactly. So it's like if there are none, then we'll just have to relearn what family values are lah, right? Because there's also like primal arguments. For example, male and female brings different values to the family.
Correct. So there are studies in tribes where the children that are born, they don't have one father. Every male is a plays their father
Yeah.
figure.
Yeah.
And those children grow up with that law.
Yeah.
And it's just a different way of what we then
Correct.
define as a family.
So we need to reformat the
we really
institution
want to
of
reformat
family.
this. Let's think about this real hard for like the next 5 minutes and then come to a decision.
I guess this is why we have to think about like these things really take generations. Like it helps me appreciate why these things take generations as opposed to
But what if we're
let people
wrong?
do what they want to do. You know what I mean?
But what if we're wrong?
Yeah.
I think the catch or the easy trap to fall into here is that people who are then after, say for example, after legalizing real gay marriage, people who are coming out might be perceived as like, oh, it's because the gay agenda spread. But the truth is that like they were like that all along.
They were
But it was
suppressed.
but it was just that they were suppressed, or just that they never really thought to even explore that. Yeah, but it's not that we created gays, you know what I mean? Or like we
Yeah.
are making people gay. It's just that they're realizing it, lor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so and my question for John Paul is like, so after that 10 years, right? Then how you know you're not gay?
There's only one way, bro. Not for me.
I mean, woman.
Yeah, see, so like,
like a
doesn't
caveman,
matter whether-
You is bad.
Jen.
Yeah, also then like I mean that's also that further proves my point that is that like even if this was the rampant reality, right, that there's no proper structure, then he will just automatically still gravitate to who he's orientated towards, who he's attracted
Yeah, but that's
to.
damn
But he's
weird.
living in the wider society where
No, but it doesn't matter what kind of society it is, I will still gravitate to whoever I'm attracted to, ma.
So
okay, another argument. Once again, I'm not against it, okay? I'm just trying to turn this into a fucking fight, okay?
let's go.
Like there's many percent of us that settle at some point of life. The part of choosing a mate, I'm not saying my marriage, but the part of choosing a mate is not we settle down with the one we truly want. For many people. For
But
many
not you.
people, but not me.
you.
For many people, is I will settle down with what I can get,
But not you.
but not me. Right? Because then many people want to date rich supermodels lah. But then most people get what they are most similar to in attractive values also, in intellectual capabilities also. It's a form of settle down to what I can get
Oh my
lah.
god, so this is why marriage exists. Because as you grow up, you get more successful, you get more access. What you can get changes. Without the marriage holding you together with your previous partner, you can go and get
No, but
anybody
divorce
else you want
exists
or whatever.
though.
You know what I mean? Yeah lah, it does lah.
Someone might get left behind.
But
If not for marriage.
if society did not even have the concept of marriage to begin with, right, it's a whole different ball game. You know what I mean?
Not really, but okay.
Because what is holding you and Pat together?
Hey.
Love ah. No, but you
Threats,
said,
yeah.
so
But if
wait,
you
sorry,
end
to
up-
conclude my point, right, there will also then be men that perhaps unable, or women, whatever mixed, right, to just unable to
What,
impress someone of the opposite sex, and then they settle for what they can get, which is my smart best friend, or true to my nature, someone of the opposite sex, but don't want me, or not that good looking, or not as smart as I hoped. So at some point, humanity have been settling for their life partners for hundreds of years.
But
So
why
it's
are we
fair to
forced-
assume that if we remove the boundaries of who you can settle down with and make it completely open-ended, it's fair that I might be influenced to say, I will settle down with a guy because I can get a high caliber man than I can get a high caliber woman. Even though my sexual orientation might want me to be with a woman.
But you need to suck.
But that argument is... as in
Don't
that-
know.
Your argument is self-contradictory because like even now like within women, right, I'm not dictating which woman you need to marry, right? So then why am I not marrying a woman who I am deeming to be more eligible than this woman? You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah, no, I don't think it's contradictory. We are saying like similar things in that sense.
you end up
It's layered.
settling-
Yeah, it's layered. The point is that you end up settling in what you can get, right? The best that you can get, not say what you can get, the best that you can get. And we remove gender roles out of a marriage. It will be the absolute best that you can get, lor. But as in, my point is that is it possible to influence a good portion, right? I'm not saying majority, a good portion. A good portion to me is like 5-10%.
to settle.
To settle for someone of the same sex if they are not born gay by genetics. And I believe it could be possible.
I think I do agree. As in like clearly there are a lot of loveless marriages out there, not yours. But but yeah lah, I do agree. I do think can. But then there's a whole different conversation, I feel.
Yeah.
Moving this back to this conversation,
I'm gonna
right?
get good ones, this one.
By who?
But all you bros.
Back to my question, right? Like, do y'all think that Singapore separates church and state, and does it matter? Because for me, right, I feel that so much of our
Policies,
we
is
are
it?
multi-religious. It's clear,
Yeah.
right? And then like because so many people believe in a religion, it is therefore a bit difficult to separate.
So I think the theory that I have, and I'm making this up as I go, is
It's a real theory.
that religion was used back in ye days of old, right?
Oh yeah.
To govern
Yeah.
before like politics and this kind of thing.
Morality.
And then once politics started to come into play, both had to work hand in hand, because if you just completely lose the religious components, right, I think just politics alone might not be enough to keep society stable enough to make those small changes as they go along the way. So I think that is why religion is tied into all of this also.
Which is kind of why like monarchies do exude that they are a son of the sun, for example, or son of God, because there has to be that.
And they're usually the head
Yeah.
of like the Queen of England is the head of the Church of England, for example, the Anglicans.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Anglicans started because King Henry the something basically wanted to have a divorce. The Catholic Church said no, and he said, okay, I'll just start my own religion that copies what Catholicism is, but we just call it Anglicans.
Walao.
And then make divorce okay.
Yeah.
What?
Essentially, okay, I'm obviously over summarizing.
People will come for you.
And pastors can get married.
I think there's a decent amount of separation, right? Because like we have certain laws that are quite anti-religion or like quite against what the religions like propose lah. I mean like abortion being one, or like the fact that we have like death sentences, which like you shouldn't take another man's life and things like that, right? But at the end of the day, I think that the government always have to consult religions because a lot of people gather what their sense of morality or values are from their religion.
Yeah.
And so then if they create laws that are so far-fetched from what the religions are teaching them, they're going to lose the election, they're going to lose their support. in
But
that
then
sense.
we end up basing this, like even morality is something that we should constantly question, right?
Of course.
Because it's always changing. So what is outdated. For example, like we just listed the example of what a traditional family should look like. How scary is that if the examples you are listing at the moment, right, they are all the changes, the small changes that we are making, even though they go against the church, right?
Yeah.
But everything else, all the other components, they somewhat stem from that religious foundation, right?
So the way I see it is that the separation of church and state comes to be if, like, it doesn't need to be separated if a solid majority of the country has the same religion, number one, and the ability to influence this religion resides within your country. That's number two. Because religion can be weaponized. Yeah. And so even if we are all Catholics, for example, then all the Catholics listen to the Vatican, then they can interfere with state affairs from abroad. Yeah. So the fact that the miracle of the Singapore story came to be is the fact that it's so multicultural and so multi-religious. A deal needs to be made such that there is a line drawn at where coexistence will be. It's a circle where we don't meet, right? We are standing at the edge of the circle, we don't meet. But we've jointly agreed how small we can make this circle already. And this is where we stand now. And so I feel the way policy level looks at religion is not to straddle morality at all. I think it's a way to section people. So the same way how Lee Kuan Yew first won was that he made a deal with gangster/union leaders, which are heads of another 500 people, another 500 people, another 500 people, and we get their buy-in. And presumably, only then makes sense that if, let's say, the Catholic Church has 600,000 Catholics, then they are 20% of the voting pool, and they get the mandate from their people. And 20% of the people feels this way. So if you want to go something against that, then I should talk to my 20% of the people lah.
Right.
Yeah.
So besides 377A, the rally also had the announcement of the mask, right? And I was damn surprised. Like I was reading the Straits Times announcement and to read the comments, and so many people were against the mask being optional. Again, like it might be echo chamber of Straits Times readers, but most of them were like parents saying like, I am very, very fearful of my kids going to school without masks, or like if I'm a Grab driver, I will feel very uncomfortable when my passengers are not wearing masks and that kind of thing.
Wait, on that note, right, specifically for parents, I feel like that fear might have developed since the toddler died, or the infant, the child died. Yeah. I
also read on Reddit, right, someone said, imagine the biggest plot twist, right, is if the badge lady starts wearing a mask now and everyone stops.
Yeah, I was going to say, so like there was a recent piece of news that came out saying that she was caught again not wearing masks.
Yeah.
Right? Then I'm thinking like, but then this is what the government is doing. So like in 2 weeks' time, she's going to be right. Or I mean, in a week's time, actually, she's going to be correct. But then like just because
but it's not
she
about
was
right
ahead of the time almost.
But it's not about right or wrong, what?
No, but the timing of it is what is important though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying that she's a visionary. That's
Right.
what happened between USA and its people is what happened between the badge lady and our society/parliament.
Yeah, she's just like, if she go to America in that culture,
She
she's
would
normal.
thrive.
Yeah.
No, but the fact that not only
she's hero, bro.
not only did everybody just listen, everyone all looked down at this badge lady, and no one went like, wow, good for her and her independence and her freedom. They went, what is up with her? Like, just put on a mask lah. We're also
Which goes back to the point of the government say okay, then everyone okay.
there you go.
Yeah.
I actually want to ask, like, how do y'all think legalizing gay marriage, right, will tangibly affect all the non-LGBTQ
Like your rights and values aside, like, what do you think will happen?
like your life? How would it affect you? That's my question.
How will this affect your country? Because we do understand, we must acknowledge that families that produce children give on a scale, yeah. But as a species, they do contribute more back to humanity by procreation. Which people that don't have children, whether you're gay, whether you're straight like myself, don't have children, married, are just not putting in that effort, right? Are not giving that much back to humanity. We perhaps could do it in other ways also, but people with kids can also do it in other ways on top of having kids.
Oh, actually, I'm curious. So if you are a married couple not intending to have kids, right, then would y'all be okay if like saying that like we are cementing like marriage because like we need procreation, and therefore married couples who are choosing not to have kids like decidedly
don't get to BTO.
Yeah, don't get all the rights that married couples who, because if that is the separation, right, then is that then okay?
I think that's a fair statement to make, but not feasible as a statement to make, because people only have a family when they have things in place, not rarely the other way around. That one shotgun marriage already.
Juicy question.
Yeah,
Get to
Let us
juice in.
know.
Okay, thank you for watching today's episode. We hope you've enjoyed it. Continue the conversation down below and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Like, share, subscribe. Okay. Yes, John Paul is singing, so you can go.
Oh, okay, you ready? Are you ready? I thought you want to try the line. Okay.
Okay.